What happens when a 34-year-old immigrant takes on America's richest billionaires, a former governor, and even Donald Trump himself, and wins? On November 4th, 2025, New York City witnessed a political earthquake that nobody saw coming. A democratic socialist born in Uganda just became the mayor of America's financial capital, defeating opponents backed by over $22 million from 26 billionaires. This is the story of Zohran Mamdani, and it's about to change everything you thought you knew about American politics. Before we dive deep into this incredible story, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel because what you're about to discover will blow your mind. Let's get started. Zohran Mamdani isn't your typical American politician. Born on October 18, 1991 in Kampala, Uganda, he comes from a remarkable family that reads like a Hollywood script. His mother, Mira Nair, an Oscar-nominated filmmaker of Indian origin, is best known for creating cinematic masterpieces like Salam Bombay and Monsoon Wedding. His father, Mahmoud Mamdani, is a renowned scholar and professor of government and anthropology at Columbia University. When Mamdani was just 7 years old, his family moved to New York City in 1999, settling on the Upper West Side. Growing up, he witnessed firsthand the impact of 9/11 on Muslim communities in America. As Mira Nair recalled, they felt looked at askance, and suddenly their home didn't feel like home anymore. This experience would shape Mamdani's political consciousness for years to come. After graduating from the Bronx High School of Science, Mamdani earned a degree in Africana Studies from Bowdoin College in 2014. But here's where his story takes an interesting turn. Before entering politics, he worked as a foreclosure prevention housing counselor, helping low-income homeowners across Queens fight eviction. He also pursued a career as a rapper under the name Young Cardamom, even producing the soundtrack for his mother's 2016 film, Queen of Katwe. Mamdani became a naturalized U.S. citizen in 2018, a fact that would later become a source of controversy from his Republican opponents. Mamdani's entry into politics wasn't calculated, it was inspired by a rapper. In 2015, he volunteered for Ali Najmi's city council campaign after learning that Heems, a New York rapper of Indian descent and co-founder of Das Racist, supported the candidate. I attribute my involvement in local politics to a 2015 Village Voice article about Najmi and Heems, whom I described as one of my favorite rappers, Mamdani later revealed. In 2017, Mamdani joined the New York City chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, drawn particularly by the organization's pro-Palestine stance. He worked as campaign manager for Ross Barkan's 2018 state Senate bid, and as a field organizer for Tiffany Caban's 2019 Queens District Attorney campaign. In 2020, Mamdani made his own political debut, challenging five-term incumbent Arabella Simotas for New York's 36th State Assembly District, which represents Astoria and Long Island City in Queens. Running on a platform of housing reform, police and prison reform, and public ownership of utilities, he secured an upset victory in the Democratic primary. He was re-elected without opposition in 2022 and 2024. As a state assemblyman, Mamdani championed progressive causes, helping launch a successful fare-free bus pilot program and even participating in a hunger strike alongside taxi drivers. He became the keynote speaker at the 2023 DSA convention, declaring, "We are special as DSA electeds, not because of ourselves. We are special because of our organization." Let's now talk a bit about Zohran Mamdani's wife, Rama Duwaji, so you can better understand the full picture behind this historic win. As the famous saying goes, behind every successful man, there's a woman, and in Mamdani's case, that couldn't be more true. Throughout this historic victory, Rama Duwaji stood firmly by his side, shoulder to shoulder. In fact, even the campaign logo used in Mamdani's mayoral run was designed by Duwaji herself. By the way, let me tell you that New York City's new First Lady is a highly acclaimed animator, illustrator, and ceramic artist, whose work has been featured by Apple, BBC, The New Yorker, The Washington Post, and Tate Modern. Born to Syrian Muslim parents, Rama Duwaji and New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani have been dating since 2021, after meeting on the dating app Hinge, and earlier this year, in February, the two tied the knot in a nikah, an Islamic wedding ceremony. On October 23, 2024, Mamdani announced his candidacy for mayor of New York City. At the time, He had just 1% name recognition. Political insiders dismissed him as a long shot. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo, seeking a political comeback after resigning in disgrace over sexual harassment allegations in 2021, was considered the overwhelming favorite. But Mamdani had a secret weapon, an affordability-focused message that resonated with millions of struggling New Yorkers. Mamdani's campaign centered on 5 revolutionary promises. 1. Rent freeze. Freeze rents for nearly 1 million rent-stabilized apartments throughout his entire term. 2. Free public transportation. Eliminate fares on all city buses, costing an estimated $700 million annually. 3. Universal childcare. Provide free, high-quality childcare for all children aged 6 weeks to 5 years while raising childcare workers' salaries to match public school teachers. 4. City-owned grocery stores. Establish 5 city-operated grocery stores, 1 in each borough, to drive down food prices by selling at wholesale rates. 5. $30 minimum wage. Raise the minimum wage from $16.50 to $30 per hour by 2030. To fund these ambitious programs, Mamdani proposed generating $10 billion in new revenue by increasing taxes on corporations and the top 1% of earners. What happened next stunned the political establishment. Mamdani built what can only be described as a grassroots juggernaut. The NYC DSA anchored his campaign, growing from 6,600 active members in October 2024 to over 10,000 after the primary victory. But the organizing went far beyond one organization. Jewish Voice for Peace, NY Communities for Change, and numerous other grassroots groups formed the coalition supporting Mamdani. By campaign's end, Mamdani had recruited over 80,000 volunteer signups. In the final weekend push, his team attempted a record-breaking 200,000-door walkout, ultimately logging 157,678 doors in 24 hours, the largest one-day haul in recent New York City history. The campaign also pioneered innovative digital strategies. They hosted a first-of-its-kind influencer briefing with 70 online content creators, reaching nearly 80 million followers. Independent groups like Creators for Zohran and Hot Girls for Zohran mobilized young voters through TikTok, Instagram, and other platforms. Mamdani himself became a social media sensation, filming videos in Arabic, Spanish, Hindi, Bengali, and Urdu, and producing Bollywood-themed content that went viral. He attended salsa dancing events, practiced Tai Chi, met bodega cats, and even participated in freestyle rap battles in Union Square. On June 24, 2025, New York held its Democratic mayoral primary. Despite trailing Andrew Cuomo in polls for most of the race, Mamdani surged in the final weeks. When the votes were counted, Mamdani received nearly 44% in the first round of ranked choice voting, compared to Cuomo's 36%. The margin expanded after ranked choice tabulation, partly because Mamdani and third-place finisher Brad Lander had cross-endorsed each other. Cuomo conceded on election night, telling supporters, "Tonight is his night. He deserved it. He won." Political analyst Trip Yang called it the biggest upset in modern New York City history.
On November 5th, 2024, the American people reclaimed our government. We restored our sovereignty. We lost a little bit of sovereignty last night in New York, but we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Mamdani's rise terrified New York's wealthy elite. During his campaign, he had declared, "I don't think we should have billionaires, because frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality." The billionaires took him at his word and opened their checkbooks.
In all, these billionaires have donated over $22 million to back opposition campaigns, flooding the airwaves and mailboxes of Big Apple residents with anti-Mamdani messages.
According to a Forbes analysis, at least 26 billionaires and wealthy families collectively spent over $22 million trying to stop Mamdani. The list of donors reads like a who's who of American capitalism. Michael Bloomberg, former NYC mayor and Bloomberg LP co-founder, $8.3 million. Bill Ackman, hedge fund manager, $1.75 million. Ronald Lauder, Estee Lauder heir, $750,000. Reed Hastings, Netflix co-founder, $250,000. Barry Diller, media mogul, $250,000. Joe Gebbia, Airbnb co-founder, $3 million. Steve Wynn, casino magnate, $500,000. John Hess, oil executive, $1 million. Over half of the donations, about $13.6 million, came before the June primary. Bloomberg's $8.3 million contribution to the Fix the City Super Political Action Committee was the single largest donation. Despite this unprecedented wall of money, Mamdani's grassroots campaign prevailed. As he told supporters at a rally, billionaires like Bill Ackman and Ronald Lauder have poured millions of dollars into this race because they say we pose an existential threat. I'm here to admit something. They are right.
If the billionaire opposition wasn't enough, Mamdani also had to contend with Donald Trump himself. Throughout the race, Trump repeatedly and falsely labeled Mamdani a communist. He endorsed Andrew Cuomo and threatened to cut federal funding to New York City if Mamdani won. On the eve of the general election, Trump posted on Truth Social, "It is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum as required." Trump even suggested he might arrest Mamdani if the new mayor didn't cooperate with ICE deportation operations.
Zohran Mamdani, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zohran Mamdani?
Well, then we'll have to arrest him.
Mamdani refused to be intimidated. After voting on Election Day, he dismissed Trump's threats, saying, "I will treat his threats as they deserve to be treated," which are the words of a president and not necessarily the law of the land. On November 4th, 2025, New York City held its general election. The race featured Mamdani as the Democratic and Working Families Party nominee, Andrew Cuomo running as an independent with Trump's endorsement, and Republican Curtis Sliwa. By 9:35 p.m. Eastern Time, just over half an hour after polls closed, the Associated Press called the race for Mamdani. Final results showed Mamdani winning with 50.4% of the vote. He became the first mayoral candidate since 1969 to receive more than 1 million votes. In his victory speech, Mamdani addressed Trump directly. "So Trump, I know you're watching. I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up." He continued, "New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and, as of tonight, led by an immigrant."
So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up. New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
The victory marked several historic firsts. First Muslim mayor of New York City, first South Asian mayor, first mayor born in Africa, Uganda, youngest mayor since 1892 at age 34. Perhaps most significantly, Mamdani's win represented a triumph for the Democratic Socialist of America, the organization's biggest electoral victory in its 43-year history. Even after winning, Mamdani faces extraordinary opposition. Multiple House Republicans have called for investigations into his naturalization process, demanding that he be stripped of his U.S. citizenship and deported. Representative Andy Ogles of Tennessee sent a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, requesting the Justice Department investigate whether Mamdani lied on his naturalization documents. Ogles claimed that Mamdani failed to disclose his affiliation with the Democratic Socialists of America and his support for causes Republicans label as terrorist activities. Representative Randy Fine of Florida also joined the effort, demanding that federal authorities review every naturalization of the past 30 years, starting with Mamdani. Ogles posted on social media that Mamdani came to the U.S. to turn America into an Islamic theocracy, a baseless and inflammatory claim that reflects the extreme nature of the opposition Mamdani faces. Legal experts note that stripping someone of citizenship requires proving they made false statements in their naturalization application. No credible evidence has emerged to support the Republicans' allegations. Mamdani's stance on Israel and Palestine has been one of the most contentious aspects of his political career. He has called the Palestinian cause central to my identity, both in and out of politics. Mamdani supports the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel.
He has consistently referred to Israel's military actions in Gaza as genocide, a charge Israel adamantly denies. On October 8, 2023, the day after Hamas's attack on Israel, Mamdani issued a statement mourning the hundreds of people killed across Israel and Palestine in the last 36 hours. Critics noted that his statement didn't specifically mention Hamas or the hostages taken. He later condemned Hamas and labeled the October 7th attack a war crime. In November 2023, Mamdani joined a hunger strike outside the White House, advocating for a ceasefire. He has also introduced state legislation that would threaten to revoke tax-exempt status from New York nonprofits if their funds support Israel's military and settlement activities. During his mayoral campaign, Mamdani stated he would seek to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if he entered New York City.
And Mayor Mamdani, would he welcome Prime Minister Netanyahu to New York City for whatever he comes for, given the US is not the signatory to the ICC, so he can travel to the US, unlike a lot of other countries. Would a Mayor Mamdani welcome Benjamin Netanyahu to the city?
No. As mayor, New York City would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a city that our values are in line with international law. It's time that our actions are also.
These positions have drawn fierce criticism from many Jewish leaders and mainstream Jewish organizations who accuse Mamdani of anti-Semitism. However, Mamdani has repeatedly committed to fighting anti-Semitism and has developed alliances with progressive Jewish groups. According to exit polling, approximately 30% of Jewish voters supported Mamdani in the general election. The reaction in Israel has been one of alarm. Israeli government officials labeled Mamdani an Israel-hating anti-Semite. Jerusalem resident Hannah Yeager told reporters, "Very bad. For the Jews, for Israel, for everyone, it's very bad." On November 5, 2025, the day after his election, Mamdani announced an all-female transition team. The team is led by Ilana Leopold as executive director, with 4 co-chairs. Maria Torres Springer, former first deputy mayor under Eric Adams; Lina Khan, former Federal Trade Commission chair and prominent antitrust advocate; Grace Bonilla, president and CEO of United Way of New York City; Melanie Hartzog, former deputy mayor for Health and Human Services. The selection of Lina Khan is particularly significant. As FTC chair under President Biden, Khan was a vigorous enforcer against corporate monopolies and a supporter of Bernie Sanders. Her appointment signals that Mamdani intends to continue his campaign against what he calls the oligarchy. Mamdani will be sworn in as New York City's 111th mayor on January 1st, 2026. Despite his historic victory, Mamdani faces formidable obstacles in implementing his agenda. 1. Economic feasibility. Economists have expressed skepticism about several of Mamdani's proposals. A 2012 poll of top economists found that just 2% agreed that rent control laws have had, quote, a positive impact on the supply and quality of affordable housing. Nobel laureate Richard Thaler quipped that asking economists about rent control is like asking, does the sun revolve around the earth? Research has shown that rent control can reduce housing supply and drive up rents elsewhere. Mamdani's proposal to freeze rents lacks the safeguards found in other jurisdictions, such as indexing increases to inflation or allowing landlords to reset to market rates when tenants move. The free bus proposal would cost the Metropolitan Transportation Authority an estimated $700 million annually, 19% of its $4.8 billion bus operation budget. The MTA has shown little appetite for the program, and the agency pledges future bus fares to bondholders as a condition of borrowing money. Universal childcare could cost billions to implement. While former Mayor Bill de Blasio successfully introduced universal pre-K, once considered equally ambitious, Mamdani's proposal is far more expansive and would require approval from state lawmakers to fund through tax increases.
Did you see his victory speech?
It's literally never worked.
Yeah, I thought it was a very angry speech. Certainly angry toward me, and I think he should be very nice to me. You know, I'm the one that sort of has to approve a lot of things coming to him.
2. Limited mayoral powers. Much of Mamdani's agenda requires cooperation from entities beyond his control. The rent freeze depends on appointments to the Rent Guidelines Board, whose members serve fixed terms. While Mamdani can appoint new members as terms expire, he may lack the legal authority to simply replace existing members. Free buses require the MTA's cooperation, and the MTA is controlled by the state, not the city. Governor Kathy Hochul would need to approve the program. Tax increases on corporations and the wealthy require state legislative approval. While Albany is Democratic-controlled, the state legislature has its own priorities and may not rubber stamp Mamdani's proposals. 3. The Trump threat. President Trump has already begun making good on his threats. The Trump administration froze $18 billion earmarked for infrastructure projects in New York during the recent government shutdown. Federal funding accounts for about 6.4% of New York City's $7.4 billion fiscal 2026 budget, a relatively small but not insignificant amount. Trump has suggested he might deploy the National Guard to New York and has threatened to arrest Mamdani if he obstructs ICE deportation operations. Political analysts note that Mamdani may have to spend significant time and resources fighting Trump rather than implementing his agenda. The mayor-elect will need to concentrate significantly on President Trump and the assaults on New York, rather than on the issues he intends to address, warned Julian Zelizer, a history professor at Princeton University. Mamdani has indicated he will rely on the courts to counter Trump's actions. It will be my responsibility to advocate fiercely for this city, he stated. Throughout the campaign, Mamdani faced attacks from business leaders, some Jewish organizations, and the Democratic establishment. In his victory speech, Mamdani called for unity. Some billionaire donors who opposed him have reportedly begun changing their tune now that he's won. Former Mayor Michael Bloomberg had a cordial meeting with Mamdani after the primary. However, significant distrust remains. Angela Buchal, who leads one of the largest Reform Jewish congregations in the city, expressed concerns during the campaign about the normalization of anti-Zionist rhetoric. Mamdani's victory has profound implications that extend far beyond New York City. After a devastating 2024 election cycle that saw Trump return to the White House with Republican control of Congress, progressive Democrats desperately needed a victory. Mamdani delivered. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who, along with Senator Bernie Sanders, endorsed Mamdani, argued that his success provides a roadmap for the party's future. The divide isn't merely between progressives and moderates, it's between genuine fighters and pretenders, she told CNN. She added, "The message that sends is that the Democratic Party cannot sustain itself much longer by ignoring the future, by attempting to undermine our youth, and by attempting to sideline a new generation of diverse and emerging Democrats that our actual electorate and voters support." Mamdani's victory represents the Democratic Socialists of America's biggest win ever. The organization has grown from about 6,000 members to approximately 100,000 members nationally. A Gallup poll released in September 2025 indicated that nearly two-thirds of Democrats view socialism favorably, up from 50% in 2010. The NYC DSA has already begun leveraging Mamdani's victory in recruitment efforts. Since Mamdani's primary victory in June, the popularity of democratic socialism has surged here and nationwide, the NYC DSA tweeted after the general election. Mamdani's victory was powered by young voters. Early voting hit record highs, with over 735,000 ballots cast, more than 5 times the 2021 primaries. The expanded electorate came especially from young and immigrant communities. According to polls, city voters under 35 overwhelmingly supported Mamdani, as did a plurality of voters aged 35 to 54. Only voters 55 and older backed Cuomo. In South Asian and Indo-Caribbean districts of Queens and Brooklyn, turnout almost doubled. This generational divide reflects broader trends. Young Americans have grown disillusioned with traditional politics, driven by economic instability, the COVID-19 pandemic, and now Trump's second term. Mamdani tapped into this frustration with a message of economic justice and structural change. Mamdani's election has resonated around the world. In India, where Mamdani's family has roots, the reaction has been mixed. Some celebrate him as a symbol of South Asian achievement, while others criticize his stance on Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP. Mamdani has denounced Modi as a war criminal concerning the 2002 Gujarat riots and opposed the BJP's Citizenship Amendment Act. In Uganda, where Mamdani was born, many expressed pride.
"He's one of us," declared a Ugandan professor. The victory has also sparked conversations in cities worldwide about whether Mamdani's grassroots, youth-driven model can be replicated elsewhere. Political analysts have identified several key factors behind Mamdani's success. 1. Authentic message. Mamdani focused relentlessly on affordability, the issue that mattered most to working-class New Yorkers. His message wasn't crafted for donors, it emerged from dialogue with communities. 2. Grassroots organization. The campaign built genuine organizational capacity from the ground up, understanding organizing as more than just voter contact, but as building power from below. 3. Digital innovation. By embracing social media as a creator rather than a politician, Mamdani established direct connections with voters, particularly young people. 4. Cultural fluency. Speaking multiple languages and engaging authentically with diverse communities gave Mamdani an advantage in one of the world's most multicultural cities. 5. Resilience against elite opposition. Despite $22 million in billionaire spending against him, Mamdani's grassroots donations and volunteer army proved that people power can still triumph over money in politics.
On January 1st, 2026, Zohran Mamdani will take the oath of office as the 111th mayor of New York City. He will become the first Muslim, first South Asian, first African-born, and youngest mayor in over a century. Whether he can deliver on his ambitious promises remains to be seen. The obstacles are immense: hostile Republican opposition, threats from Trump, skeptical business leaders, limited mayoral powers, and the fundamental complexity of governing America's largest city. But Mamdani has already achieved something remarkable. Starting with 1% name recognition, he defeated political dynasties, overcame $22 million in billionaire opposition, and withstood attacks from the President of the United States. He did it by building a grassroots movement focused on the issues that matter most to working people: affordable housing, free transportation, universal childcare, and living wages. In his victory speech, Mamdani captured the essence of what his campaign represents. The billionaire class has sought to convince those making $30 an hour that their enemies are those earning $20 an hour. They want the people to fight amongst ourselves so that we remain distracted from the work of remaking a long, broken system. Whether Mamdani succeeds or fails, he has already changed American politics. He has shown that democratic socialism can win in the heart of global capitalism. He has demonstrated that grassroots organizing can overcome billionaire money, and he has proven that a 34-year-old immigrant can rise from obscurity to lead America's most important city. The Mamdani era has begun, and the world is watching. That's it for today's video. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our coverage of world geopolitics affecting the United States. Drop a comment below telling us what you think about Zohran Mamdani's historic victory. Will he succeed in transforming New York City, or will the obstacles prove too great? Let us know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.